Burulcha, we are live, so I think we have to wait a couple minutes just our viewers can join us. So let's wait.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Aida. Good day, Aida. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much, Burulcha. How are you doing?
Me too, fine. We are a bit too busy with online classrooms now. Almost 2 or 3 classes every day on online platform.
Mhm. So our first has joined already, so we can start. Good afternoon. Hello, dear friends, teachers, educators. Welcome to our virtual session. English language teachers corner session. So I'm so happy to introduce our guest speaker today, Burulcha Koilubaeva. So she is active program teacher and partner in education program alumna, and today she will talking about integrating the elements of STEM technology into teaching English. First of all, thank you very much, Burulcha, for accepting the invitation and for your time. And also, I want to kindly remind our friends, please leave type your questions under this video, and Burulcha will answer them after the presentation. So, let's start. Burulcha.
Okay, good day, everyone. Okay, glad to meet you on online space. I would like to take an opportunity to say very big thanks, you guys, for inviting me to be here to speak about my own experience. And another very big thanks goes to Lingua Foundation for their STEMCA project and the founders Bill Reed, because that project gave me much to know and to widen my scope and to learn much about STEM, because since that time I had a lot of problems, challenges, how to use STEM in teaching English. Okay. And today, what I am going to speak is today I wanted to share with you my own. I told you my own experience how I was using STEM with okay with my students at the university and at school. The topic, as Aida has mentioned, how to integrate STEM elements into teaching English, and I would call it STEM plus project-based approach. You know, as you all know, that STEM-based education is gaining much popularity among society and a very important approach in teaching process. And this is, of course, not in vain, because employers nowadays, they require well-educated and very skillful people, who are prepared for the 21st century skills for their job. And what should we do as teachers? And we have to strive also to do our best, maybe to widen, maybe to innovate our own teaching. So for this reason, I first went to Bangkok, Thailand, to attend STEM training, and that was my first visit, my first, training on STEM. And from that training, I got a lot of things. But when I came back home, I had still a lot of problems, and those problems I could solve when I attend STEMCA project. So under the head of Gulnara Nazarbekova. Okay, what is STEM first? If you see the next slide, uh, if I would teach face to face, maybe the trainers, I would use three wooden ice cream, sticks and pencil to to guide my presentation. But this time I don't have this opportunity, and I just drew. So the picture of the plane, and if you see, so the plane's destination place is the world of STEM in my own experience. And in the root of the plane, there is written what is STEM. And today I would speak about a little about STEM. Maybe you know what STEM is. And if you see the, support and combining wings, there were written two other questions, that not questions, but maybe items like application of STEM. And I wanted to show the video. It depends, of course, on the internet connection. If it doesn't depend, then I have B plan, then I would like to share some photos, okay? And the second wing, I wrote STEM in Access, because Aida has mentioned about that I'm working at the university and I'm teaching methodology of teaching English. And so I am also working at Access program. I am teaching Access students. Okay. So what is the next step? Next step is, in by word, those can be sound like what is STEM, application of STEM in teaching English through national textbooks, and STEM in enhancement activity in Access program. So these three topics. So today will be on my or in my presentation. So if you see here, just a few mind map activity. If you have a pen or a paper, you could write the words like STEM, STEM, and what does they stand for? You all know that S, that is the science, T, that is the technology, E, engineering, and M, that is the mathematics. The term STEM, it is this acronyms, okay? And this term was first used in 2011 by the biologist Judith A. Ramelli, who is the head of the National Science Institution of the USA. And he was in charge of developing new educational program. STEM here is an educational approach designed to combine technology, engineering, along with science and mathematics. To this direction, 2009, so the European scholars, among them Brussels, scholars, they initiated first pioneering STEM activities, so at schools. And they, of course, it, showed some good results. That's all about, I will be very short about STEM, that if you are interested in knowing about them, I will, later show some links, then you can refer to these links and get some information about STEM. STEM education also involves what? Problem solving, creative initiative, research, and hands-on activities. It offers a chance also for students, for children, to develop their abilities, encouraging them to answer questions, to get involved with some fun activities based on some, science, mathematics, engineering, and the technology. It's, of course, truly impressive if you see your students using, their knowledge on different subjects like this and the in learning process. That's, I think that it's really very impressive. So if you, again, we are now speaking about the topic what STEM is, and here this question poses three big questions. So if, for example, if you're hearing me very attentively, you might ask these questions. The first question is, do we teach STEM as a subject? And the second question is, what does it produce? And what should we do? Of course, STEM subjects are not taught in traditional syllabus. In STEM teaching, so we can integrate and apply science, technology, engineering, and math, okay? And what does it produce? It produces real world, meaningful learning for students. Your students should receive more authentic treatment of grade level science, math content than in traditional classes alone. What should we do? We should help our students apply what they learn and become more innovative, build their ability to develop thinking, reasoning, investigative, and creative skills so they can function and thrive in our higher technological world. Later I will give you some examples, okay? So from my own teaching process. Okay. The next is EADP. I Googled and I found this, graphic, and I found really very interesting this graphic. So that EADP, engineering design process, is the heart of STEM process, as you know. That is the heart. What is the graphic form? Graphic form starts with defining the problem, okay, in teaching English. Remember what kind of problems first. If there is the topic, for example, gardening, what problems can students define here? Then the students can make research. They can research, they can surf internet and find information from YouTube. There are a lot of good materials about gardening, yes. And then so together with their team, they develop and then choose, then create, and then they do experiment, prototype. And so if it needed, they can also redesign them and finally communicate, and is then the present. This is the graphic form of engineering design process. Okay, this in a graphic analysis that it gives students a way to think systematically about solving problems, and it carries over into other areas as well. In this process, children define problems, conduct a kind of experiment, develop different kind of ideas, multiple ideas for solution for solving the problems, create a device and the prototype. Okay, I will show you later, and then test, evaluate, and redesign. Okay, uh, what is the next slide? The next slide, as I mentioned before, that engineering is the heart of the STEM discipline, or STEM. But math, science, and technologies, they are integrated and woven together to solve problems through an engineering design process. And if you are interested, I told you that this link, I can share this presentation if you are interested in this, and I showed some link, and you can get information from here. Okay, the next is the ideas to integrate the elements in teaching English. I told you that I'm working at the university and I'm teaching methodology. After coming back from, STEMCA project from Bishkek, I had really nice ideas, a lot of huge ideas and a lot of ideas. But, again, I used my STEM skill and I selected and I chose the best one, the best effective one. And I started negotiating with my boss. My boss is the Fulbright alumnus, Saburgul Shamsuddinova, and she's a nice person, and she welcomed my idea. And so we located the STEM topic in the syllabus in methodology. And these, links that I indicated here. So if you go to these links, you can see the work we have done during this process. There are a lot of works were done by us, by Access program, by university students as well. Now let me just let me just share with you some pictures. Okay, so some pictures at the end of the second quarantine months is already underway, and during this period, so our professional lifestyle has dramatically, rapidly changed, because from face-to-face teaching, we immediately moved to online teaching. This somehow it is, of course, unexpected, but it was interesting. Especially, we gave very creative, ingenious students to develop their skills. For example, if they are good at technology, we create them opportunities. And this months also can become a month of self-development for me as well, because I work all the time on internet, and I, search some training materials, and I develop my computer application skills. All, I in the second part, I decided to show some video, but I guess I for sure said that the internet is very slow now. I could not share this video, but I can share it if, of course, my phone and my email will be given at the end. If you are interested, I can also share my video also. But all the videos which were taken, they address the STEM application effectively. Our main the textbooks of the students designed by lingua trainers. They nicely designed both educationally and culturally. So the teacher's role here is how to use them effectively. Our faculty, along with other teachers, I decided, together with other teaching staff, we decided to implement STEM in methodology classes, because it was effective. If we train 200 students for STEM, then 200 students will teach how many students? That was our main, mainstream, main focus. It was our main focus. And of course, during this period, the students got series of methodology STEM classes before going to their practicum. And so fortunately or luckily, I must say that our practicum had successfully completed at schools. They used online, they used task-based approach and STEMCA, okay, and STEM was, I think, that a good solution, to make the classes more interesting and during this quarantine time. The undergraduate students, of course, took great commitments to bring a wealth of resources of STEM learning, including their knowledge and interest in STEM-related content from the national textbooks made by Lingua. Okay, and so here, of course, not all required strategies are implemented, like encouraging teamwork, but other benefits eventually will give us results. If you see here, so I will share some lesson plan later. First, these are the photos, sorry, the photos were, taken during their school practicum time before methodology class. As you see here, the same, PPP lesson format they used during the class, presentation, practice, production. By the way, that during my STEMCA project in Bishkek, I learned how to organize STEM warming up activity, and I also shared these activities with our students, and they really did a really nice job. And if you see here, they all have the devices, and it is good for, if you see here, they are teaching vocabulary, vocabulary, and these materials all based on the sixth form designed by Lingua team, Balota, and okay. And if you're interested in watching these videos, they are also downloaded or they are also uploaded in YouTube. Okay, you can also take some materials integrating STEM elements into English teaching classes. You can take so these materials there. Okay, this is the lesson plan of STEM. I will be very quick here. If you see here, of course, face-to-face teaching has become all the time disputable, because usually teachers say that I don't have enough time to pay attention to all the students face-to-face teaching. But in online class, there is one, I can say the benefit, maybe small benefit, because say they have some opportunities to do some home assignment themselves and to do some tasks, and I think that it affects productivity of the job. I wanted to draw your attention to this part of this job now, you can see, and these are just the parts of one work. There are a lot of lesson plans, This is only one lesson plan, lesson plan. And here, if you see here, the materials mostly based 3R rules, unit 10, pages 159 and 160. If you have the book for the sixth form, you can just look at this, and the lesson plan, STEM lesson plan designed on this. Okay, and if you carefully look at this, there are some YouTube materials the students share, because here for technology usages, and at the end, look at this, that experiment shows the experiment with the bottles. They showed some experimentation. Previously I showed some photos, but I have also some videos. Okay, okay, what does it mean? These are almost the all videos and photos they were delivered during their practicum through WhatsApp and Google, okay, Google Class, and they present a real and compelling open-ended problems. They integrate and they apply their knowledge in science and math. They also use the engineering design process approach for solving problems, supports a teaching process that is inquiry-based, hands-on. It requires students to design and create a model of prototype of the solution. So this is about all the lesson plan. Okay, I will move to my slide now. This is all about it, and so these are the ideas. Okay, if you are teaching the sixth form, So we suggested some topics where you can develop the STEM lesson plan. But by the way, maybe there is the questions like, is it possible to use STEM classes every day? No, it's impossible because it's, providing resources to students is rather difficult, so that's why if one unit lasted for 5 or 6 classes, for 5 or 6 classes you can organize one STEM lesson. That will be enough, and it will be fun and meaningful. Okay, and so the next is okay, this one is the other suggestion, and all this you see here, I listed the units together with the students, because the students designed this. For assessment part, for rubric part, I use this one, and I just shared with you. Okay, what is the next then? What benefits of STEM? Pay attention to my face. Benefits, there are a lot of benefits of STEM. Okay, the first is by STEM, if you use the elements of STEM in your teaching English, you can foster ingenuity and creativity of the students. Okay, if some students, if you have 20 students, among them maybe 4 or 5 they are very creative, and the 4 creative students you can give opportunity to develop their creativeness. The next is build resilience. Build resilience means build resilience, in this case I think flexibility, that students will be flexible to listen to each other while working in teams. And the next is encouraging experimentation, encourages teamwork. That's very essential. But in during my presentation, I was speaking about or that it fits to quarantine time, and the teamwork almost was difficult to organize. Encourage knowledge knowledge application of 4 subjects. Encourage tech use. They will use YouTube. They will design their own. For example, I will give some examples later. Teaches problem solving and encourage adaptation. Okay, the next part, again, this mind map I created during my STEMCA project. Okay, and I like this site, very useful. If you are, and this is saved also. For example, my presentation was a plant is a small oxygen factory. I have chosen this topic. One very big benefit of that project, was that I sat with a lot of teachers from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, who teach different disciplines, not only English. So I learned much. The chemistry teacher, I learned much. By a science teacher, I learned a lot of things, and so when I was building this mind map, as a teacher from Uzbekistan, he was really very knowledgeable about this, and he, helped me to design this. Luckily, I was sitting next to him, and all the time he helped me. He stretched his hand to me to help. Okay, this is the again, when you organize the STEM class, you can organize like brainstorming activity. Brainstorming activity can be everywhere, yes. And for brainstorming activity, I would not like to share with you. I use here Lego, made a Lego, and this brainstorming activity I used when I conducted the trainings for university teachers as well. And here, the teachers I used Lego, and it was interesting, because if you hand something, something when you teach, so you will try to focus your presentation, your training exactly, what you wanted to get. And this was brainstorming, and the next part I used here task-based approach. I created a task here, name for things for plants to grow, team building activity here, 14. So the groups were taken this kind of table, and they, for example, for plants to grow worms, then what can help? Okay, water and etc. and etc. So something like this. So they did this activity. After this, this is planning cycle. Planning cycle is very important in STEM project. I was using the not PPP here, a little bit, a little, different from PPP, and in planning cycle that's similar to uh, practice. Here I gave this kind of chart to the all the time I'm trying to give this chart, because if the group of students team, they will say their names of the project, what kind of project they are doing, for example, for gardening or reduce, recycle, uh, reduce, recycle, one more, sorry. Okay, for this project, so they will write, for example, their name of the project and who will do. It is very important to pay attention to this part, who. Who means that the responsibility of the students. For example, if you uh, okay, ask your students to be responsible for something, they feel more responsible for their job. For example, Aida is a writer. The next is a scientist. Asan is a scientist. Elia, or something like this. The next is what? They will, in short way, they will describe their project and what materials they need. They will write the materials. This is really nice. I like very much in Access program. I often use. By the way, this template I took from Access enhancement activity. The next is planning cycle. Planning cycle means, sorry, after then execution cycle, sorry. In execution cycle, I shared the YouTube material here. So, and I gave the task while watching video, what resources are there in the video, or the actions of experiment. Okay, now time for closure, planting flowers, write a reflective journal. That part was a little simple, I was very quick in demonstrating this plan, but of course I know that you are also maybe experienced, and if you look at this plan, it is, you picture to yourself that how you were teaching, following the sequence of the stages of the lesson plan, yeah? And then now time comes to my Access program. Access, okay, the similar like that, we organize the kind of event, planting flower day. This Access program, this Access program for visually impaired students in Ash, as you see here, we went to public park Toktovol, and if you see here, they all have the tools. For example, Fazledin has the chart. In that chart, they prepared first their presentations. And if you see here, there is the soul. And of course, the other person is carrying the other resources. They are all, resourceful students for STEM. Sorry. Mhm. Okay, the next picture, they were planting, so the flowers, okay. Here the benefits of this work is prepare students, present new topic, apply the content to the context, and the evaluation. The other one is, okay. So the other one, if you see here, that is a really interesting project we conducted with Access students. The Access students divided into 4 groups, and they were named the states of the USA, and they discovered the legends. For example, if you see here Philadelphia, they discovered Arslanbab. While doing this project, they turned to internet in order to know the history of Arslanbab. They turned to people. So because we were in Arslanbab and they had some opportunity to meet some people there, and they got an interview from locally people in Arslanbab in order to do this research, to do this experiment. It was really nice. The other group here in New York, they Flower Rigor, and maybe some of you know that we took a video. This group of students, they made really nice video, and we released this video to Facebook, and it is still now in Facebook, and I think that it is very popular video. And when I was conducting STEM, I always share this video. And next is John Appleseed. This is the USA legend, and the students. Then, if you see here, the students used different, what bottom of the bottles and to create this chart. And they also presented apple seed. Okay, and the next one is, as you know, that our beloved person, uh, beloved person. Why? Look at the during Halloween event. Okay, during Halloween event, so we prepared jack-o'-lantern here. Heidi is giving instruction. Heidi is giving instruction, and the students, so they are looking and they are watching what Heidi was doing. You know, if you see here, some students, if they are good at English, so they are just following the instruction. But some students, they look the things what Heidi was doing, and of course, that part, that it was conducted during Halloween, and Halloween with the personage, with the heroes like witch, ghost, and mummies, and so with their resources and their third-year students at the universities, they did really nice volunteering work. And here, if you see here, they lollipops, they ghost lollipops they made, and so they finer bread, baked bread, also prepared after completion of the event. So they gifted each other this, and of course that the spooky Halloween event was really awesome, because extra awesome, because we had a distinguished guest, Ambassador Donald Lu. And so as you see here, the people with their costumes they designed, and if you see here against them, Mimi's costumes, how to design it. So they turn to the history, and witches ghost, all of them, learn the history of Halloween. And so at the end, we take a group photo. And this is the other one, homemade water filter, and I conducted several trainings for university teachers, and I just, put in one photo. So when I was, home filtering, showed the experiment, how filtering the water. Okay. Thank you for your attention. And this is, email, my phone number.
Burulcha, thank you very much.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
thank you very much for wonderful presentation and amazing and inspiring experience that you shared with us. It's really very useful.
Thank you.
I think it's time to create a card. And the first question is, for example, in our Access STEM Bishkek, it took more than 1 month for students to design their STEM project. They worked in teams and or individually. What about your students?
Okay. So maybe access students, they mean yes. Your voice, I could hardly hear your voice. It means that how my students, so working in groups, they mean teamwork. Okay. So, of course, this access program gave really much opportunity for blind and visually impaired students to learn English, and we often build teamwork, very often build teamwork, because we have completely blind students and we have visually impaired students, and we have poorly sighted students as well, and we combine all these students together, and in all the time we are organizing teamwork in the class. So in learning grammar, in creating skits, in enhancement activity, everywhere we organize teamwork. STEM is not actively involved in the access program because of the student's health condition. But we use it, for example, 2 times in a month, sometimes, or 1 time in a month, or something like this. But at the university, so we activated, STEM project for university students.
Thank you very much, Guru Changes. Next question. How long did it take to make their project?
Sorry, how long did it take?
to make their projects?
Okay, good question. Very nice question. So usually it took 1 week uh, to do this project because since that project we had the content content okay content presentations because first they learn vocabularies, they learn grammar, and finally the production part they develop STEM projects, and usually it took or usually it takes 1 week, sometimes 10 days, depends on the volume of the project, on the actuality of the problem.
Thank you very much, Burulcha. The next question. What was your role in those projects?
Sorry.
What was your role in those projects?
Okay. Good. The role of my role is a kind of instructor usually. Instructor, guider, and I have prompter sometimes, counselor, advisor. I have a lot of rules, especially when I am teaching Access students. I am sometimes a friend, sometimes a teacher, sometimes a monitor, instructor, designer, okay, prompter.
Thank you very much. So the next question. Do you need the assistance of other specialists in realizing your project?
Sorry.
Do you need the assistance of other specialists in realizing your project?
So what do they mean by the project? Projects maybe can be different. Projects for the unit or very big project. Of course, we need very much assistance for any project because one head is one head, but two heads are better than one. If I have an assistant, I usually share, especially evaluate, assess. So in this, for example, Access program, I have a peer teacher, Isakwa. She's a nice teacher, Isakwa Mirkut, and we often, discuss. We often give feedback each other. So what kind of minuses and pluses we had during that project.
Thank you very much, Burulcha. So the next question. What skills, experience do I need to be a STEM teacher?
Okay. Oh, very nice question that I have never thought about this question before. It touched me, this question. I told that when I visited Thailand, Bangkok, I felt that I missed a lot of skills. In order to be STEM teacher, I need a lot of skills. But when I came back and attended the other project, STEM Cup project, that was the solution of my problems. Because in order to be a STEM teacher, you should be watered just the knowledge, and you should be good communication skills, because in order to realize STEM, you need to talk to other teachers, for example, who are teaching chemistry, who are teaching science, and who are teaching math. Sometimes we need very much these people. And of course, if we have the opportunity like combining 4 teachers and building a kind of mega discipline would be nice, but unfortunately we don't have this opportunity. So that's why just communication, it's really nice, very important skill, required skill in order to be a STEM teacher.
Thank you very much, Burulcha. So the next question. How can we integrate STEM technology into online teaching?
Okay, again, how we can integrate technology into
Online teaching.
okay, integrate technology online teaching. Okay, I was thinking about this right now because recently there was an application for small grant project. It is I have taken it, and I was thinking, distant learning project is very actual. It is very necessary nowadays. Distant learning can teach a lot of online projects. For example, so the question is what kind of technology, maybe what kind of platforms we use online. The platforms like Google Class, WhatsApp. We often use when we teach access classes. Now we are conducting volunteering access classes. We often use WhatsApp. There is really nice recorder program, and we are using this. And the Google Com, and of course Zoom. Zoom is very popular. And the other JITs, the other platforms like from America. Recently, we had a training, and I am eager to apply this also, but I am now in the way of learning this platform.
Thank you very much, Burulcha. So the next question is, what is the best way to engage students with STEM?
Okay, the best way of engaging students, that's motivation, of course, and good instruction. Good instruction. If you motivate your students first to learn English, then through English you can engage them in STEM project. But STEM itself motivation, if you do not believe me, you can just go to YouTube and take some video and try to do it at home, like my students did. I shared some photos today, and those can be really nice motivation for your students, because they are life skills. Students, they apply life skills, and they learn English in more enjoyable way.
Thank you very much, Burulcha. So the next question, can STEM lesson be fun?
Sorry.
Can STEM lesson be fun?
Oh, it's fun. It's much fun. For me, it's much fun, because usually my colleagues teasing me that I'm a mother of STEM in Osh. Because where STEM is, I am there, and where STEM is, it's much fun for me. If, for example, I can also, you can, for example, English Microscholarship program STEM. There is also one project, so they are releasing a lot of nice, activities, and I can also share some, if you call me, there is my phone. I can also share some sites, where you can address, you can turn to get information.
That's cool. Thank you very much, Burulcha. So the next question is, any challenges to integrate the elements of STEM technology into teaching?
Sorry.
Any challenges integrating the elements of STEM technology into teaching English?
Oh, you know, I told you, but in very brief way, I described it. When I was in Thailand, Bangkok, I had a very big, very lot of problems, challenges, how to implement STEM. When I was learning STEM from Google, from internet, there were 4 subjects, and I was thinking how to combine these 4 subjects, and to make one mega discipline, and I was all the time, in a quandary how to solve this problem in a tight corner, and I could not, use my loud, or how can I say, very gromky golas, not confident. And okay, but when I was talking to Natalia Dmitrievna, Natalia all the time corrected me when I say STEM. Natalia corrected me the elements of STEM. And I realized that, in teaching process, we are not able to use STEM, but we are able to use the elements of STEM technology approach. So in this case, that can be easier. But if we take the word STEM like STEM, it will of course very big, and we are giving big headache to the Minister of Education, to the administration of educational institutions. So that's why elements of STEM. It is a nice word. Thank you, Natalia Dmitrievna, for this word.
So it's wonderful. Thank you very much, Burulcha. It was our last question. So, but we received a lot of nice comments. Let me read these comments for you. So, Burulcha, you are great motivator. You are best teacher. You are awesome. You are star in teaching STEM. So, so many wonderful
Thank you.
words addressed to you. So, thank you very
Thank
much,
you, guys.
Burulcha. we are close to finish our session, and it was really wonderful to have you in our session because it was really useful and informative webinar or can we say seminar. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Aida. Thank you, Aida, so much for monitoring this online platform. Thank you so much,
Thank you very
moderating.
much. It's my pleasure to do it. So also
Mhm.
I want to thank you, our dear friends, teachers, for your question, for your comment. So and let me to tell about our next session, which is going to be at 6 o'clock. Is Giovanna Talks, please Magyar, uh, Tech Woman alumna. So stay tuned and have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.